Welcome to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College in Middletown. I'm Steve Minkler, the college CEO, and welcome to the fall 2021 semester. And we have a few episodes of Middlesex Moments where we're introducing you to those things that regularly happen this time of year at a college. Last week, we met Ashley Raythel and Adam Floridia talking about the book club that the English department hosts every semester. And now that we're rolling toward the end of September into October, that's the time of year that Middlesex Community College hosts its annual Red Moon Gala, which is a fundraising and friend-raising event we have every year. And joining me are two really important people who make the Red Moon happen every year. We have Kim Hogan, who's our Dean of Administration. Thanks for joining us, Kim.
Hi, Steve.
And Rick Eriksen, who's a professor of digital arts and multimedia. Hey, Rick.
Hello, Steve and Kim.
And Kim, I think we're counting up in our heads. This is the 10th year that we've done the Red Moon. Can you talk a little about how Red Moon got started at Middlesex Community College?
Sure. Yes, I can't believe it's been 10 years, that we've been doing this. It started out when President Anna Wasesha was here as sort of her mark as our prime fundraiser of the year to create and to do a festival around all things Connecticut, and to show how important it is that we become leaders in our community for sustainability and things that would be made here in the state, and for us to prosper off of those things. In the thought process that here we are as a leader in our community, not only educating students but as a prime user of all services, and being a very, very integral part in the makeup of the Middlesex County service region, as a consumer of products and services, and leaving the least amount of footprint that we can, from an environmental point of view. So it was about coming together to bring folks to the campus to see the beautiful site that we have. At that point, I think we were kind of known as the quiet thing up on the hill, and we were trying to change that. So in order to do that, we needed to bring folks onto campus and see just what we had to offer and how we can come together and have sort of a fest. It's festival season. It's about cultivation, and in this case, we were cultivating friends and donors, and it just kind of took off from there. It has morphed over the years, as you started to say that it was a gala. We changed it over to the Red Moon Gala, and that became more advanced as far as being a group of people coming together for a common good, and kind of giving that little cut above to make it a gala when we celebrated our 50th anniversary as a college. So we felt that it was important to bring a little elevated elegance to the event. Each year it has such a different vibe, and Rick, I know you've done all the creative around how we've kind of evolved, and we kind of moved into this thing last year where we had to go virtual for COVID, and putting a mask on this little makeshift Red Moon guy that we called Red Moon Dude, and this year taking that off, and of course getting back to the roots, calling it a fest again, because we want to bring people up on campus to see that we're here, we're relevant, we're back, we're doing all we can to stay COVID safe and friendly, but it's important that we come together as a community here at our community college.
Right, and I think it kind of celebrates the fact that we have this sort of small town atmosphere on our campus, even though we're in a sort of a medium-sized city, right?
Yeah, so getting back to some of the origination that President Wasesha saw was this idea of being here in Connecticut, from Connecticut. So we have a local band this year that I'm telling you is fantastic. It's called Small Town Roots, and the fact that the lead singer is an alum, and then his mother is an alum and also a retiree of our college. It just sets the vibe for what's going to be a fantastic evening of giving back into our community, about our community, to see what, in fact, we can do. So bringing Matt and his band back here for the first time to perform live out under the stars, it's just a vibe that we're searching for, to bring people to understand that it's okay. It's okay to come together. It's okay to be scared to come together. It's okay to just celebrate our students, and celebrate the creativity and the awesome faculty that we have, and all the good things that come out of the funds that are raised from this event. What better way than to have an alum leading it?
Kim, what date is the Red Moon this year?
Good point, Steve. It's October 2nd at 6 p.m.
And that's a Saturday, right?
It's a Saturday night. Yep.
Okay. Now, with COVID still among us, if you want to call it that way, what are we doing in terms of a venue for the Red Moon?
Excellent. So the area that we're having it this year is outside in what we call the Grove. And the Grove is that grassy area with a natural arbor tree background that we normally have graduation. So we will use the arbors area as the background of the stage. So we'll be setting up a stage. We will have tables, and the tables are going to vary in seating from, from 4 to 6 to 8, folks at a table. So hopefully people come in their little pod, if you will. We now refer to COVID pods. So maybe their COVID pod will come together and share in the spaced out area. We have plenty of room to spread everyone out and be able to be comfortable in seating. If people are not comfortable with that, they can also bring a lawn chair and put it out if they want to be really secluded off to the side. We will be having food, so there will be servers that will be handing out gourmet pizza. It's going to be made on site. So with salad, so on and so forth, it'll be actually plated for folks to come up. So there won't be any touching of anything. And then later on in the evening, we will have gelato and cappuccino and espresso that'll also be served. In between there, we can have, you can try out beer. We have a beer and wine tasting, which people will go up and get, served beer, served wine. So there's no touching of anything. It's very COVID friendly. Masks are welcome to be worn. They won't be mandated to be worn because we'll be outside. But those that are comfortable wearing masks, I know that I'll probably have my mask on just out of an abundance of caution. Again, if that's a personal preference at that point. If we're in an area that becomes tight, we will ask that folks put their mask on. So bring one with you is the message there, but certainly out to have a very, very good time. And again, hopefully you'll bring your pods with you if you join us at the event.
Okay. Thanks, Kim. And as we've said, this is the 10th year that we've done the Red Moon at Middlesex Community College. And Rick, I want to bring you into the conversation a little. So you're a professor of digital arts and multimedia, and I know you've got a number of reasons why you started to become involved with the Red Moon really from day one. And so one of them has to be your creativity.
I don't know. You can say that. I don't know. I let other people say that. I'm trying to go back in time and think, how did I get wrangled in on that first one? Because it stuck with me, obviously. And I think that that's important. I thinking back to when we were first discussing, hey, let's do a fest, I really, really want to echo the word community, because I think that was really such a key part when we first were thinking, hey, how could we, what are we going to do to obviously raise funds for students? I mean, that was first and foremost what we were doing. And community was definitely, it started with that. Like, we knew that we were a gem in the community. And we were, like you had mentioned, we're constantly blown away by, like, people would visit and say, what is going on up here? It's like, this, we didn't even know it existed. And that really, from a visual standpoint, just because it's beautiful. I mean, it really is a beautiful campus. But I think it was the community piece. Everybody knew Middlesex was up there, but how connected was Middlesex to the community? And so when we thought about doing an event, we were like, well, in what way, what kind of events get the community together? And really a festival made sense, right? So we're like, I immediately was like, ooh, festival. I'm thinking puppets and, all sorts of crazy stuff already out in the Grove, right? Already out on our beautiful campus. So I think I was probably pretty excited and pumped up for the concept of a community-based festival in a unique location, of course. So that's obviously why, I jumped on board, and all of the things that we tend to do at Middlesex, I think these events, they usually tend to provide an opportunity for us to do the creative stuff as well as be communal about that. And I immediately was like, wait a sec, I know we can get some students involved in this. I know it's for the students, but let's get students to buy in. And what can we do with a festival? And then quickly the festival thing, the community festival, I think then the word homegrown came out. And it was really important at the very beginning to, as Kim mentioned, to say, how can we How can we weave or thread that homegrown, the community vibe through this whole thing so that people weren't coming and just throwing money and saying, yeah, I feel good about funding a scholarship, but they were coming and they were actually planting a seed, right? They were becoming a friend, right? I mean, they were becoming a friend, a family member, someone who was truly part of the community, whether they experienced going to Middlesex or working at Middlesex or just knowing about Middlesex. And that's, really, again, what I think, why I got on board: community, homegrown, festival. And then, well, Middlesex is really a great place to allow creativity to blossom. And so I knew that, well, I wasn't sure how deeply entwined I was going to get into this event, but so we're 10 years on. So obviously it's sticking a little bit.
Well, one of the things I've enjoyed with working with both of you for the last 10 years on the Red Moon, and also just our general day-to-day work together, is your sense of stewardship in Middlesex Community College as a resource. So the Red Moon, as you said, brings donations, it brings friends to the college. But Kim, you in particular, you play a couple of very important roles in our community outside of Middlesex, and talk for a moment about what you're doing.
Sure. Thanks, Steve. I've been heavily involved in United Way for many years, and I'm currently the board chair over at the Middlesex County United Way. And just seeing how our community comes together, not only as our college, but at United Way, to really make an impact on the daily lives of folks. Middletown, particularly through COVID, has done such a fantastic job of really entwining all of those leaders that we need to have to come to the table and really handle things that come up, such as this pandemic. The other thing that I'm also very heavily invested in, I've been a board member for several years on the Gilead Community Services Board, and that's dealing with, impacting the lives with those with mental illness here on our campus, in our community. And the college has been a great resource for both of these entities, and that's how I became involved over the years with knowing the leaders that are in those organizations and, sharing the leadership that we feel we need to have across our community to really make an impact on the lives of those that live and reside in Middlesex County. And thinking about philanthropy across those three entities, they're similar, in ways that we may go about, raising money, but every one of them has a unique aspect to it. So I participate in all fully. I think that we do a wonderful job here at our college in, like you said, Steve, being good stewards in our community to make sure that those that may have an illness can also come to our campus and be freely welcomed based on their ability levels to come through our doors and make their lives better. What better way than to open our doors and help them, as well as our students have opportunities to, if they've hit hard times, to have these resources in our community. So it is really about all of that coming together. I look at the opportunities that are presented at this small community college up on a hill and compare that to any university setting, as big as they come. And I don't think anybody does it as good as we do, with the resources that we have. We borrow, we help, we maximize every relationship that we have. And while I'm talking about that, this year we've expanded into a brand new opportunity with Middlesex Health. And I'm sure we're going to get to that later in this conversation, Steve, but it's these partnerships that I am so happy to be able to celebrate and bring to our college.
And Rick, I imagine you see that every day in the classroom. I mean, I think people have this perception of what a college professor is, but yes, you teach your courses and you bring your expertise every day to your students, but you see their lived experiences and you see that they're dealing with all sorts of things around them that, on a good day, it's a struggle to come to college for many of these students. So I think you really understand that from your point of view as a classroom teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly, I definitely don't want my chuckle to be misinterpreted. It is, there are a lot of stories. And I think that's an important piece, is that, so often we think about, oh yeah, a student goes into class, does sits in the classroom and then does their whatever work and it's just easy peasy. Now, these are so many stories. The Middlesex student we just have so many different people coming to the table, and the support is needed. I mean, it is so needed. And I think the classroom really it's amazing to actually see the young, the old, those that have tech, and or just in general, if you wanted to say, I say tech because we're always involved in the software, the tools, the things to produce the media, and it's that itself could really be a blockade for some individuals. So dealing with the individuals who don't have the resources to be able to compete or to just learn the same way that, let's say, someone else might. So it's fantastic to be able to have something like the Red Moon or organizations, Kim, that you're talking about, that are community connected, that relate to the actual individuals who are in the community, and then become a resource and help those individuals who, I mean, tech is one thing, and not having the books and not, but I mean, something as simple as just even babysitting. So I know that you're like, how does that relate to anything? That's truly what sometimes some of our students might need to use some of their scholarship for. And that is so radically different, I think, than what people traditionally think scholarship aid or financial aid would be for a college student. And that really, I think, kind of shines a spotlight on, there are so many needs for at a school like Middlesex for other individuals from the outside community to say, you know what, I can totally help out in a way that makes sense for me. And it is really going to have an impact where I wouldn't even think, I'd be like, oh, whatever, but it really, the financial support is has such an impact on all those people in those stories.
Right. Well, as we approach our next break, Kim, for someone who wants to learn more about the Red Moon and maybe even buy a ticket, how do they do that?
It's easy. You go to www.mxcc.edu/redmoon.
There you go. So coming up after the break, more about the Red Moon Fest at Middlesex Community College with my guests Kim Hogan and Rick Eriksen. You're listening to Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College here on WLIS WMRD.
Your future begins here. At Middlesex Community College, you will find affordable, quality education to land the career of your choice. With over 70 options, make the decision to start now. Visit mxcc.edu to get started today.
Hey folks, it's Rick and Kim in the rectangle.
Here we are to talk about the Red Moon Fest,
Red Moon Fest. It's the 10th anniversary.
to be held on October 2nd at 6 p.m.
Yes, and it's going to be a special one.
live here on campus.
Live music, craft beer, gourmet brick oven pizza,
Made right on site.
wine tasting, and, well, of course, silent auction and live auction.
That's right. How do you find out more? www.mxcc.edu/redmoon.
Welcome back to Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, the college CEO, together with my guests, Kim Hogan and Rick Eriksen, who are integral in the success of the Middlesex Community College Red Moon Fest, which this year is being held Saturday, October 2nd at 6 p.m. in the Grove here on Middlesex Community College's main campus in Middletown. And just before the break, Kim, you gave us the web address, which again is
www.mxcc.edu/redmoon.
And the tickets this year are how much?
They're $40.
$40 per person. We've got food, we've got things to drink. We're going to talk a little bit about auctions that we have and some sponsorship opportunities. But I think, we talked somewhat about scholarships. And what we tried to do with the Red Moon is help benefit some of the programs we have here on campus. So Kim, maybe if you can talk for a moment about how that evolved over time and what programs have benefited from the Red Moon Gala.
Sure. I'm probably not I don't want to slight any one program. If I miss one, I'm sorry. But, we started to think about when people come to an event like this, they want to know exactly what is their money going to go for. Obviously, we say scholarships, and Rick, you did a great job talking about what it really means. Scholarship is not just a matter of paying tuition. It's all of those wraparounds that are needed to get a student through school. But we also looked at ways to encourage our faculty to be a little more innovative. And with funding, Steve, I look at you, we've looked at budgets every single year that we've been together dwindling, to the point of, just barely enough to get by. And even that is difficult. So to encourage, innovation, we use funding from other Red Moon events like this to have faculty be like an incubator of ideas. So things like a loan pool, Rick talked about technology being available for our students. Well, we never lent out things like calculators or computers to students. Well, now we do, because someone put together a proposal and said, if you give me a little seed money to try this out, I think students will really use it and benefit. And sure enough, they did. We looked at programs that maybe were coming up on, needing equipment, like the Center for New Media. When we did our renovation, we knew that we needed money to be able to sustain and do newer and better and bigger things through the Center for New Media. And we have used that equipment and been able to have our virtual event last year. I mean, this Red Moon was a prime example of stretching those programs. The equipment that you're going to see being used outside was for our corporate media to be able to take students out on real live shoots and put together programs through funding that comes through things like the Red Moon. Our science faculty friends, we did a big push in veterinary science one year when we knew that we were starting our new vet tech program over with Piper Veterinary, and to be able to buy a Syndaver, and to work on grant programs that, where we have a little bit of seed money to get an idea going, and then we could apply for grants, and we wound up with, the ability to acquire a synthetic cadaver dog to be able to train students on. So you see that this is not just one little thing that Red Moon does. It really does bring all these ideas together, money to be able to fund it, and without community support, we wouldn't be able to do this. So it's essential.
And did we choose this year a program to benefit from this year's Red Moon Fest?
Yes, we did. And I gave a little tidbit of a sneak peek before. We have a wonderful relationship with Middlesex Health. That's our local hospital here in Middletown. And this year we're going to be celebrating the 50th anniversary of our radiologic technology program. We were not able to do, a big proper, as I call it, proper celebration of 50 years of that degree program last year due to COVID. So we're kind of morphing those two events together this year, and the Rad Tech program, as we refer to as Rad Tech, will be the beneficiary of a special funding appeal at this year's Red Moon Fest. And to that light, without the partnership of Middlesex Health, we would not be able to have this program, hands down. We have our program fully housed over into the hospital with post-primary degrees certificates in CAT scan, mammography, and
MRI.
MRI, thank you. I'm sorry for that.
Okay.
But in doing this partnership with Middlesex Health, we are so honored to have an honorary chair this year, Vincent Capiz, which is the CEO and president of Middlesex Health. He's going to be our honorary chair. And I'm hoping that, by him coming to see us here up on the Hill and see everybody coming together in the community support that we have for a joint effort like this, will be second to none. I don't think that there's anything that's going to be like it. It's shaping up to be a really great event. And then having him be present is really, really special.
Yeah, he's been an amazing community partner to everyone, as well as the hospital. I mean, just getting us through the darkest days of COVID last year were an incredible undertaking for him, Community Health Center, and many other agencies in the city. It's just been, and yes, I'm amazed and so pleased that he's the honorary chair this year. So yeah, this year's Red Moon Fest to benefit general scholarships, but also particular emphasis on the radiologic technology program and program enhancements. And so we said earlier, tickets are $40 a person. But another way that we help raise money through the Red Moon Fest is an auction that we hold every year. And Rick, this is where your talents come back into play. Rick is our auctioneer. And I understand we have two different flavors of auctions at the same time, right? We have a silent auction and a live auction.
Right.
Yes.
Steve, when you asked Rick what was his reason for coming, being such a good part of the Red Moon, I thought for sure he was going to say that he always wanted to be an auctioneer and wanted to try it out. So those of you that have attended this event, just exactly what we're talking about. We couldn't have anyone nearer and dearer to do the auctioneering at our Red Moon Fest than Rick.
See, Rick is really an introvert. This is his way of trying to get out.
Totally. No, come on. I don't make a mention of it because what other things? I would fail miserably. I've been at this thing, 10 years, and I still can't even do the auctioneer thing, right? It's ridiculous. I should be a phenomenal auctioneer after 10 years, right? But
Well, I
I
think
only
we got it figured out now. We got to figure it out, Rick.
So I don't know. I wish I could travel back in time and try to remember how I did get wrangled into being the auctioneer. I do, though. It's difficult because I'm such a jokey kind of, everything's a jokiness to me. And I think that does help to bring the fun, obviously, to the event, especially when we're doing the live auction and we're kind of going back and forth. And again, I think that a key thing, we're trying to connect. And I think that that's a fun thing that, about the event is you truly can feel like you're connecting with individuals. You're not just sitting in a chair and watching something. But the auctioneer thing, the live auction. And I think that's obviously fun. Who doesn't want to obviously come to an event and have the ability to, number one, support obviously the students and so forth, but also maybe get something and, a little fun, whatever it is. So there's a wide range. I'm not 100% sure on the exact things, but there's a wide range of like silent auction sort of pieces. And then what we do is we have a few in between the entertainment. We've got a couple big ticket items that we'll attempt to auction off and have some fun with those items, as well as some just like kind of fun little campus related things we often auction off, which are a lot of fun to sort of see the students and or the faculty kind of going back and forth to, see who will get the primo parking spot or something along those lines. So there is that fun aspect. And then I want to wrap it, back to the fact that we're focusing in on a program, and that's a really important piece of the puzzle. And for those individuals who do arrive, I really try to, in between the jokes, try to get people to connect specifically with those programs, whether it's the Center for New Media, Rad Tech, any of them. To make it a little bit more real. I remember actually, I forget if it wasn't last year, but I remember actually one year we were doing the live appeal. I think it was for the Vet Tech, and it really had an impact on me in between the jokes, thinking, wow, I'm doing a live appeal here because we do it thematic a lot of times. I was doing a live appeal to completely outfit a student for all of their tests and equipment that they had to wear for a semester's worth of vet tech. Who's thinking about that? They're thinking about books, right? But no, these folks had to actually, they had medical tests, they had to have special equipment. There's a range of things that a student who just wanted to be a vet tech individual needed. And I was able to specifically auction and ask people for, if they wanted to sponsor and be that individual who knew that they were going to take this student through their semester and really support them in a concrete way. The fun stuff is doing the silly live auctioning things, but that live appeal, I think that's really, if I had to, say, hey, where's the essence of this? This festival, it's like really connecting in a real way to a specific student or students or a program, right? And I think that can happen in that live appeal. So I guess expect that beyond just a ridiculous, live auction guy going, hey, let's auction off Steve's, office for lunch with Steve or something like that. But, but there are some, obviously the program specific or the focal point live appeals. I think that's a really important part of the evening in between all the fun and festivities as well.
Okay, and with that, our time is running out. So why don't we just kind of remind our listeners about the Middlesex Community College Red Moon Festival. Rick, it's on what day?
Ooh, I want to say October 2nd, Saturday, October 2nd. And Kim, time, I think 6
p.m.
6 p.m.
Here in the Grove on campus at our main campus, 100 Training Hill Road. And Kim, what's the website people can go to buy tickets and sponsor the Red Moon?
Sure, you can go to one site. It's www.mxcc.edu/redmoon. You can click on the links to buy tickets, to sponsor, to donate gifts to our raffle, although that part of it is wrapping up fairly soon. And while we're at it, Rick, I think that we need to give a little kudos to our CEO. You have given more support, time, talent, and treasure. Both you and Karen, both of you have been great supporters. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this with you throughout all the years, Steve. And it really does show how we all come together for the common good of our college. And to go one more minute without saying that you as our CEO and the care and concern that you show for our students every day, it needs to be said. So thank you. And like I said, it's an honor.
Well, thank you. I deeply appreciate that. Thank you very much, Kim. And I want to thank you, Kim Hogan and Rick Eriksen, for joining me again today.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
And I want to thank all of our listeners for joining us for another edition of Middlesex Moments. As always, you're welcome to visit us at our main campus, not just on Redmoon, but any other time to learn more about the college. We're at 100 Training Hill Road here in Middletown. Please remember to wear your face mask if you do come to visit us. You can also see us at our Meriden Center located at Platt High School, where we offer afternoon and evening classes 4 days a week. And of course, you can visit us online 24/7 at mxcc.edu. On behalf of Kim Hogan, Rick Eriksen, and everybody at Middlesex Community College, I'm Steve Minkler, and we'll see you next week.